Greetings. 40% in 2 hours on Tesla is the title of our show today. And we look forward to sharing how, whys, etc., so that you can do the same thing. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy the show. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support as well. It is greatly appreciated. Our B-roll today is actually footage from the Shanghai plant, and hopefully it's not too fast. We'll get a slower version for you soon. So I wanted to, we kind of had a thing happen today. So we have a Patreon page, and depending on which level you're at, you actually get a certain number of shows in addition to this one on a weekly basis. So at the 125 level, that includes a show every day during the week. Particularly our Trade Blast is one of the main vehicles, but we also have other shows that we have there as well. We're also doing, pretty much every day or every other day, sort of written blasts as well, if some big news pops on Tesla that we think it's worthwhile to grasp. So in this case, yesterday we actually did a show, or we did a blast relative to the upgrade that was done by Goldman Sachs, which really affected the stock price today. And we thought it was, materially big. So we got info as soon as we saw it. So the question is, how do you do 40% in 2 hours, and why? So the origin of this show is the fact that we actually had one of our Patreon supporters point out that, we were supposed to be doing more help people understand positions that we have. So at our $300 and $1,000 level, we kind of review good times to trade, buy the stock, et cetera, which are things we typically don't do at the lower levels on a daily basis. And we definitely need to get back to doing so. But today I chose to do it in a blog post or a video rather than just doing it as a written matter. So right now, in terms of myself, my holdings are primarily call options on Tesla heading into April the 24th, which we were told is the day they're going to announce earnings. We've also heard April 28th, so I think it's between the two that it will occur. So today, kind of an interesting thing happened, which is I was watching the stock all day to see what was happening, did some buying of some calls, as well as hedging with some puts around the 710 level. And a relationship between the market and Tesla developed where, as the market was tanking, Tesla held strong for a while, but then sort of gave it up and started declining with the rest of the market. And so it became a sort of tough day, a little bit of a tough day, because the stock was at 753 when it opened, but it closed around 730. So the sort of activity that prompted this show is the fact that I guess it was probably around 1 o'clock today, there was a situation happened where Tesla stock price fell from 753 and then systematically dropped to 710. And then it rose back to 736. And it then went back down to around 722. So what happened is that as soon as it got to 722, I actually sent out a blast on Patreon to our Patreon supporters and said, hey, in essence, I said, time to buy at 722. And what happened is the stock, right as I was able to purchase some call options, in the range of 730, the stock then went from 722 all the way up to about 736, almost 740. And then I sold out, and then stock went back down again. This time, when it went down, it went back to 722, and to close the day out, it actually finished up at 729, back up again. So I ended up buying the same 730 calls and selling them. It turned out to be 3 times today, and we made money on all of them. And all of this happened in about 2 hours. And the net on it was between 40 and 50%. And so I thought I'd do kind of a show about what happened and why. So the issue right now is that, with Goldman Sachs coming out and giving a good reason for Tesla to head up into the late 868, and a number of other analysts offering similar assessments of where Tesla is headed, we're under the impression that it's a really good opportunity right now to get shares of Tesla if you can afford it, because we're heading into a good earnings announcement, and there's a lot of reasons to think that Tesla is going to successfully get through Q2, and that leads into them becoming part of the S&P, which will add 10-20% potentially to the stock. So the question is kind of, why was I calling this thing to go back up again? And the answer is that for the last round, the losses that the market was experiencing or delivering were declining. And as the NASDAQ started turning more and more positive, you can see the movement back up of Tesla's stock price. So instead of buying the stock, which would have minimal impact, I actually bought the option. And yes, you want the stock to rise dramatically and make a ton of money, but if it does a cycle, between 740 and 720 several times, if you catch that cycle once, you make 20% twice, 40% three times. It's possible to make between 50 and 100%. So I wanted to throw that out there because the instruments I was buying in this case were the 730 calls. I actually don't have any in account right now. I do have some 740s and some 750s, anticipating a strong recovery in the next day or two before they expire on Friday. So I do own mostly April 24th calls at 750 on Tesla, but I do have some expiring on April 17th calls on Tesla. And then as I talk with some of my other trading buddies, a lot of those folks have similar holdings, perhaps more further out, May 1st and others, but a lot of mid-70s or 700 priced options is what they own. And we think that the numbers are going to be good in terms of making money on them well before they expire. Obviously, you have to sell them or take delivery of the stock. But I just wanted to note that there's some nice potential in understanding that it's a good company, good numbers already delivered, and it's just a matter of confirming it with the finish of the quarter. And it's an opportunity to make some really good money without a huge amount of effort. So I thought I'd bring this forward and explain a little bit what's going on with. I also wanted to note that another thing we decided to do was we kind of ran into a problem. I've been trading options on and off for the last 25 years or so. And a friend of mine, trading buddy, explained that Tesla's the best stock anywhere to trade when it comes to option for a whole bunch of reasons. And I have to say, I agree. It is absolutely wonderful for trading options. And it's a great place to learn how, because there's so much money to be handed out. So what I wanted to further mention today is that we actually have a trading group. And I was talking with one of our trading group folks, and it turns out that sort of everybody in the group that started on Monday is up between 200% and 300% on what they put in. So I thought it was funny because one person emailed me at admin@Teslafaninsight to say, well, do you have any proof that your theories are any good? And I was like, no problem. I just sent them the phone number of a couple of our trade group members who reviewed how much they made, and end of discussion about whether or not we have a command of what we're doing. So did want to mention, if you're interested in joining our trade group, I think there's still some opportunity for our month-long trade group. The cost is $5K, and we have a guarantee that if you don't make money, you get 90% of your feedback. If you do, obviously you don't, but the point is that I think there's a lot of money to be made via Tesla for this week. And so if you are interested, please take time to drop me a note at admin@teslafaninsight.com. If you look down below, it's actually listed there what our email address is, and we can get back to you. Please leave a phone number as well as sort of how much you're trading. I mean, if you've only got $5,000 to trade, obviously the fee is a little bit too much for you. It may not be a good idea. But after you send, who's your broker, your phone number, how much you're planning to trade, we can work with you to help you with your trade plan, et cetera, and your plan for actually making some good cash. So, at any rate, I look forward to sort of anybody that's interested in learning more. Let us know. We really want to see you guys do well and also get wealthy. Health and wealth are not a bad deal, especially in tough times like these for some folks. Um, Additionally, I wanted to mention that I'm, I actually wanted to get you guys' help. I have a friend of mine who sold his, he had the number 5075D, and he actually sold the car privately, I think for something in around, he had 45,000 miles and he sold it privately for someplace, I think around $32,000. But I looked on Tesla's website, I've been sort of getting the funds together to go ahead and purchase a vehicle. And there's a whole bunch of, I think, overpriced Model S's sitting on the Tesla website. And I'm looking around at eBay, but frankly, if there's somebody who is a viewer that's interested in selling maybe a decently maintained Model S or even a 3 that might be older, we'd be happy to figure out if we can make a deal with you. So please note to us, again, admin at Teslafaninsight, if you have any interest in selling, because even if I don't buy it, we might be able to make it an addition to our show where we start listing vehicles that might be for sale, and getting buyers and sellers together is not a problem. Assist you if you're planning to sell, and it might be helpful in that process as well. Any rate, the I guess final thing I wanted to review today is I believe that Tesla will no doubt cross earnings that they come out next week will no doubt meet estimates based on them having not pre-announced. And the fact is that the reason the stock is moving so much is because those analysts recognize that Tesla's been able to successfully get through the COVID virus for this period profitably, and hence all of the excitement and driven up of the stock that's going on. So if you are a Tesla holder, well done. If you aren't a Tesla holder, if you ain't in the next week to 10 days, it's going to get very expensive to buy the stock of Tesla. And you may want to consider making a move now, because things are very solid for the company and getting better. So at any rate, I wanted to thank all of you that said hello to me here this evening. We look forward to any and all comments after our show. Don't forget your health tips, 25 leg lifts a day to make sure you don't have any issues with your knees. A 5-2 diet might be what to consider. Don't go to bed within 2 hours of eating, preferably 3, preferably 4 hours, so you have full digestion and no acid indigestion. Also, at least at 30 SPF, you're going to be outside, and a couple of weightlifting sessions a week will also help with bone density, according to Mr. Petro Bono out of Canada, who's also one of our Patreon supporters and part of our trade crew. At any rate, have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now. We look forward to your comments post-show. Before I get into my language closeout, I had a friend of mine in high school actually make a comment, and he said, Greg, one of the problems people don't realize is there are probably 300 words in a language that you could learn that you'd be dumb, but it'd be interesting because you'd be able to sort of make your way around wherever that is. So one way I've been trying to figure this out for the last 30 years is in German, if you say, es ist ein schöner Tag in unserer Nachbarschaft, it means it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And obviously, Mr. Rogers, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. In French, it's c'est une belle jour dans notre banlieue. Same thing, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. In Spanish, es un buen día en nuestro barrio. Same deal. So I wanted to mention to you, because we actually have a lot of viewers in Europe and other parts of the world, and I thought it'd be really cool to have us gang up and figure out a way where we could find sentences that you would learn in different languages and be able to, the sentence might not make sense totally, but at least you have words that are useful for you to learn. And I wanted to throw it out there as kind of a fun project that I think is kind of an interesting thing to think about. At any rate, in German we say tschüss, French au revoir, lehitraot, Hebrew, choda hafez, Farsi. In Jamaica we say, well, hey do in Swedish, zdravstvuyte Russian, ni hao ma Chinese, hey do is another, obviously. And in Jamaica, we say, enough respect, walk Woodman. Thanks for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight, and we'll be back tomorrow with a show about Tesla's German operations. Have a great day. Bye for now, and thanks for joining us.